So Trembling Aspen, I have this bigger one, super big. These ones, so there's, that middle one's actually dead, so there's what, 5 in there. And then one here, it's only got 1 branch alive though. And I've been wanting to make a Trembling Aspen forest. I mean, I made this original one, and then I, you know, it's actually just, it's slowly deteriorated. It didn't have enough soil, just not enough. Not enough, didn't treat it well enough. Well, it just didn't do great there. So I'm gonna give it a lot more dirt, all of them, and try to make this this forest out of here. Trembling Aspen. I've envisioned this forest for quite some time. I had made the smaller one, and it didn't turn out. And so I'm not sure in what, you know, this is, it's big. It's too big. I wish I could pull it all down. But since I just transplanted it, that's not happening. Yeah. And so, you know, this just has 2, and I sort of tied those together. And I've, you know, spaced them differently, right? So you see I've worked on sort of trying to get different gaps between all of these spaces, and then some dimension. Now, ideally, I could have another tree here, a small one, or a small one back there, to get some depth, even more perspective, perspective. But I'm still happy with it, you know. You know, especially as you come in, you can start to see the depth of it and stuff. And there are some nice roots and stuff, but for now, I'm just keeping it as is so that it grows well. I'm a little, like I said, I'm a little worried about that one, but I think it'll be okay. You know, I've got something happening here. Eh? What is this? Right up. And there's a bug that I get. It's a worm that makes these little white swirls on it, and so I'm gonna have to watch for that. But still, it pushed out just great. Yeah, these are trees that I grew up around, and you know, I didn't have tons of forests of these, like huge sections, but since they're a colony species, meaning they're all one plant. Now these are different ones, so I don't know exactly how that'll all work. But they send out, you know, shoots underneath, and they just grow. So they'll shoot out some suckers in next year, and I'll have to consider growing them or taking them off. And if you let them grow, they start to take, you know, they can take from one to give to the other, and so. But yeah, and so this is just a forest sort of my area. You come across these patches of Trembling Aspen. And in amongst, for me, it was mostly lodgepole pine. Okay, biggest transplant yet. Super nervous. Look at how big this is. I had it crossed off here with these. You know, but look at all those roots. That's so optimistic and hopeful. It's got this long thing, so and then it goes out here. So, and I want to turn it and pull it up. So I'm gonna just start chopsticking away, see where my biggest limitations are. So like here's crucial for me to get to, figure out where the roots are coming out of here. You know, if they're coming back, that's, anyways. And then, you know, how much can I cut off? So let's see. Okay, so got into that. I had to, you can see there's a big bump in the back. So I sort of had to angle it. I used that, and so I lost some of that in there. Now I'll get some of this back. I'll get some of this back. You can see my wire in there. And there is a live vein and some roots right at the very sort of end here. So, you know, it can be part of the design. I was just sort of trading off some of that for, straight, so movement. And how obviously how I could get it in the container. So yeah, and the angles of the roots and everything, right? So just push that down quite a bit. So I think I can get a lot of that out. I'm just letting it, you know, settle for now. But I got to clear that out or that's just going to rot in there. But yeah, and then the design, you know, it's designed something like this. You know, so my head-on's here, so I couldn't quite get it even all the way around as I want to, but the main thing was bringing this all up. And you know, it really shows this live vein. It does make me think that, like, I don't know what parts of this is dead because there's roots down here. And so I don't think they feed over here. I think this might be another live sort of vein right where I'm actually at. But this looks dead in here. That looks alive, and that looks alive. So could curve around there. This could all be dead in here. These were roots though that were good too. So, you know, I got to figure this out. But you know, you have a nice live vein crunching in here, coming all the way down. And so I'm guessing it's got to turn. It's got to be wrapped around there. But that'll be a nice, exciting part of this tree. So, but yeah, and I you know, I want to stick it up, but I need to keep it on the ground for now, just to keep the ground temperature, the root temperature, more consistent. But I am, you know, so I think I'm going to leave on the ground for a bit, get in a sunny spot, you know, moderately sunny, and let it just grow a bunch more roots. So a spruce tree. Apologize for the rain. Might make it a little hard to hear. You can see it's got decent movement at the base. You know, that's really cool. It kind of comes up this way and a bit in there. And I'll clean it out down here to see what we have for roots. That'll kind of affect the front. And you know, this tree, it's probably ready to be transplanted. That's the original soil, and it's been in there, I want to say 2 years, maybe even 3. I don't, you know, you can see the roots are coming out. I had it buried in soil for a bit, and the roots are just coming out from last year. But I think if I just percolate all the soil a bunch, it'll allow for enough drainage. I'll give it lots of fertilizer. Or, you know, what could I do? I could transplant it right now, repot it. It's got so much growth. It's growing on the tips. Like you can see what it produced last year, lots of growth. I need it to push back in. I think it has the vigor. I think if I branch select, push it in, a lot of them are pointing down anyways. It should stimulate some growth, cut it back, and then fertilize hard to get a whole bunch of back budding, get these little guys to become you know, branches. So that's my plan. It's not pretty because it's just a part of the bonsai where, you know, I could do a full styling probably. I just won't because it's just too much work at this phase, and I just need to develop and move the tree forward. There's other trees that are sort of taking priority, but I can't do nothing or it's just gonna keep growing out up top here, and this is going to be, you know, all unusable anyways. So, and I'll lose these lower branches. So I'll show you what I do with it. Well, there we are. 60% of the tree, maybe more. I mean, if it's newer, great growth, lots of tree. So, you know, I'd say 70% of its vigor I just took out, which is a lot. And I just said, I'm gonna go for it. There's tons of back budding, and so I've, you know, one of the funnest parts is cleaning out this, because you get to see the nabari, right? And sometimes you get really great ones. This time I wouldn't say so much. What I did is I uncovered some more movement there, which I suspected. There's a root kind of right there, a small one, but there's a bigger one. It's on this side, coming out here. But so that, you know, there's a little, like, no, you can't see that on camera. There's a little zone of roots there, and so I've kind of cleared it out to just give it space. And this looks like the best front, and as I was, you know, sort of picking the front, there's a few, you know, again, I'm far from that actual part of the design, but what I like about it is that it sort of anchors here, pulls this way, and then kind of comes this way, and you can kind of get a lot of movement in here. It's pretty subtle, like it looks straight, but you can see it from the eye. The subtle stuff the eye can pick up. You know, this is also nice. As soon as I turn too much, I get this, you see the scar. So that could become a feature. Right now, I kind of don't like it right in the front. It's too much of an eyesore, so I kind of like it off to the side. Ideally, I would not want it there, I'd say. So that's the sort of desired front, and managed to get a section up top where, you know, there were some buds around, and so the growth can happen there. I'll cut paste this because these guys bleed a lot. Spruce bleed profusely. You know, and I could take off some of these needles, but these are all potential bud spots, and I could be ripping off buds. But I do like the idea of getting some air in there, or some light in there to see about, you know, stimulating some of this this is the kind of growth, right, that I'm going to try to work with next year, because all of these top branches will go. And so I've done a little bit of pruning on, like, because they come off in pairs, and so I've just sort of picked pruning and, you know, kept one side, you know, chopped the one side and kind of just gone down, not so much on the lower ones because I just need as much growth as I can get on these, so I have no need to thin them out, but these were kind of shading the interior as well. So